Hello and welcome to another episode of the PintSizeAnalyze podcast. In today's episode, I am going to be discussing why Blake Snell may not actually be the dream fit on the Mariners that you might believe he is. So as this offseason has progressed and as the Mariners continued to with multiple trades where they were getting rid of payroll, um, the the national media narrative kind of continued to be, could they be freeing up money for a run at Blake Snell? It makes all the sense in the world. Blake Snell is, if you did not know already, a Seattle native. He's openly been telling people that he wants to play for the Seattle Mariners. At the UW football game, I believe the Apple Cup or the week before that, whenever like students would ask him, or say, "Come play for the Mariners," he would say, "Come get me." And then right before the Thanksgiving Day broadcast for the NFL against the 49ers, he raised the 12th man flag and told the broadcasters, before the game when they met, when they said hi to him, that he wanted to play for the Mariners. They asked him where he wanted to play. I'm pretty sure he said, "I want to play down the street," pointed towards T-Mobile Park. So it's clear that he wants to be a Mariner, but there are some caveats to Blake Snell and the idea. Well, it does sound cool. There are some clear caveats, and I want to do a breakdown, a deep dive on what it is and, what are actually the drawbacks and why I don't think he's actually a great fit. So, for starters, this is his not Savant page, his Spot Track page, and I think his Spot Track page, there's one detail on here that I think is the most important detail of anything, and that is right here. That is, under his agent, it says Boris Corporation. If you're unsure with who Boris is, Scott, or if you're unsure of what Boris Corporation is, that is Scott Boris. It is his agency. Scott Boris is an MLB mega agent. He has regularly negotiates millions, if not billions, yearly in contracts. He was also actually a former college roommate of Pete Carroll. Fun fact, if you did not know. Thank you, Pete Carroll. His retirement was just announced today. Yeah. So Scott Boris always wants to get the best deal for his client. He wants his client to make the most money. It makes all the sense in the world that he would want his client to get the most money, but he's going to do that, and he's going to have his client sign wherever that is. That's the number one thing that I think is really important. Next, I want to start on. I want to go to Blake Snell's Fangraphs page actually, and I want to start this kind of deep dive, kind of explaining why I'm actually, not that fond of the idea. So in 2023, Blake Snell was the Cy Young winner. He is actually a two-time Cy Young winner. Again, it makes all the sense in the world why you would think, or at least it would make sense for him to be a Mariner. But again, there are some drawbacks. So he pitched 180 innings. That is something to note. Making all 32 starts and pitching 180 innings is a bit nitpicky, but it still shows that he doesn't tend to go as long in his starts. And then he had he had a 31.5 K percentage, 13.3 walk percentage, and then an 18.2 K minus walk percentage. He had a .075 home runs per nine, 256 BABIP, and then 86.7 left on base percentage. That's really, really important. 44.4 ground ball percentage, and then 10.9 home run to fly ball. 2.25 ERA, 3.77 xERA, 3.44 FIP, 3.62 xFIP, and then 4.1 F4. Now, I want to get into the left on base percentage. That is a really, really important number. Blake Snell, if we go down to the walks, we'll see he actually walked a career high number of batters in 2023, and at 13.3%. He also struck out again, as he has done his entire career. He struck out a really, really good amount of batters, but he continued the career trend of walking nearly 10% of batters, if not more. But this year was actually a career high, 13.3%, and he has a left on base percentage. Now, if you're unsure what the league average left on base percentage is, it's generally around 74%, which Blake Snell was actually at exactly in 2022 and 2021. He was at 89.1 in the shorter 2020 season, 71.6% in 2019, 88% in 2018, and then his first 2 years, he was at 70 and 73%. Now, if you look, though, one thing that I think is really, really important to note, and one thing that, I've noticed is if you look at Blake Snell's only 2 seasons over the past 5 years with a left on base percentage of 85%, the outlier years besides COVID, besides the COVID season, which he actually, pitched really well in 3.24 ERA, you know, over 50 innings, made 11 starts like that. That would still perform well, but obviously it's much smaller sample size. You'll notice that it was both of his Cy Young seasons where he had the left on base percentage over 85%. I believe that it shows that when Blake Snell has when Blake Snell has a high left on base percentage in his outlier years is when he performs well, when he is, getting essentially lucky. If you look as well, I also want to note the durability concerns and well, I'll get into this later in the episode when I look at what a potential contract would look like and why I really don't think the Mariners should be interested. But if we go back to 2022 and 2021, his 2 most recent seasons, we'll also see he only pitched 128 innings, identically in both. Actually made a different amount of starts in both seasons as well, 27 in 2021 and then 24 in 2022. But he only pitched 128 innings in either season. Again, kind of showing that he doesn't really go very deep into ball games. He's not going to be like the workhorse ace that you would hope for. And I mean, even then, in 2018, he pitched 180 innings. That was his career high. So he nearly matched his career high this year. Only 2/3 of an inning away, obviously. But it's like it doesn't really seem like he can be counted on to go 200 innings yearly. And that's kind of what I think the Mariners would really, really hope for. Maybe even over the highest quality of production, but purely maybe I think they would maybe even value quantity more in this kind of situation, like they did with Ray. Will you pay more for a starting pitcher, but just because they knew they were like a workhorse, although Ray got injured. So if we go to ERA, though, one thing that I do want to note, though, it is interesting because, like, even in 2022, he had a 2.8 FIP. Like, that's really, really enticing. And as well as the 3.19 xERA that he had that year is also enticing. But again, I think that 2.25 ERA, I don't think that's going to hold up next year. I don't think he's anywhere close to that. And all the other ERA estimators prove it. And I mean, even if you go to Sierra, which I generally am not a huge fan of Sierra, but Sierra, he had a 4.06 Sierra this year. Like that's really and again, if you're unfamiliar with how Sierra works, it's basically takes the league averages of like ground ball rates, fly ball rates, fly ball to home run rate, as well as like line drive rate. And so there's a lot of variables in it, which actually don't make it that great of an ERA estimator. It's kind of why I prefer like xERA, because it what it's looking at is very, very defined, and like exactly what it is, and that's like the exit velocity and launch angle. But with like Sierra, it relies on the more of the percentages. But even then, though, Sierra shows that he likely was. And then also it takes into account K and walk percentage, Sierra. But yeah, it's clear that Sierra does take into account those, and it sees as well as like left on base percentage, which it's indicated in Sierra. It's not obviously like an official part of the formula, but it's clearly indicated in the formula or in the result. Yeah, let's go to his Savant page real quick. Okay, so this is actually 2023. Again, it's a excellent looking Savant page. Aside from the whiff and K percentage look really good. Walk percentages look great. Chase percentage is not actually that high, but the thing is though, with the average exit velocity, I believe that honestly will change year to year. Yeah, because if you go to 2022, it was 12th percentile. What about 2021? Yeah, 36. Let's go to 2019. Yeah, 2019. This 3.04 xERA that looks good. Yeah, so I don't know. He's been a good pitcher his entire career. Let's go down here. lower X Wobicon last year, which is again X Wobicon contact. Um, yeah, that's really bottom 2% of the league in X Wobicon in 2021. That is a yikes. Bottom 2% of the league. That's, I mean, again, you could call that an outlier year, but if the Mariners were to sign Blake Snell for a half decade or longer, that kind of outlier year could be expected to take place at least one time. Um, let's check the run value though. I believe, yeah, the run values are legit. Plus 22 on the curveball, plus 5 on the four seam, plus 13 on the changeup, plus 4 on the slider. Run values have been like consistently positive, consistently good his entire career. Well, actually, changeup was like pretty awful in 2021. Bad, but not as bad in 2022, and then was really good in 2023. So I wonder, like, what happened. I wonder if there were some arsenal changes though, um, that allowed him. Like, I wonder if there were some pitch shape changes on the changeup that allowed it to go from being so horrendous just 2 years ago. Um, I don't know if the Padres were like tinkering with it or what. The Rays are pretty analytically, and you know they know pitching and they know how to develop pitchers. So it's kind of. But well, actually, I'm just curious. So let me see the run value. Yeah. Okay. So the run value was good in 2018. Okay. So it might just be a year-to-year thing. And yeah, there are times where there are years where hitters might just see the changeup better than they do other years. He threw exactly 1,500 fastballs in 2018. That's interesting. What about Velo? Velo 2023, 95.5, 95.8. Okay, yeah, so he still has good fastball velo, and I don't think that's gonna go down anytime soon. Yeah, still has good fastball velo, and it's relatively the same. Um, all right, well, so okay, so let's get into the final thing now. For Blake Snell, this is about his contract. So Blake Snell is a two-time Cy Young winner. He is 31. This is contract kind of situation. He is 31 years old. He'll be going into his age 31 season. And now Spot has this awesome feature where they have like a market value, and I was basically my initial prediction was going to be like 5-1. I thought something like 5-145. What they said was 6-143. So one more year than I expected. But relatively same, like almost the exact same money. Similar salary. 24 million a year roughly. Got 23.9 million. So, and then what I appreciate about Spot as well, and this is kind of what I was gauging it off of as well, is they have like some comparable contracts, which was Carlos Rodon signed last offseason, AAV 27, 162 over 6 years. Robbie Ray. Now there was one pitcher that I am kind of interested. I think that there's a chance that he could get like something better than this. And I believe that Aaron Nola actually turned down some better offers to stick with the Phillies, but I believe he got like 7 years, 172. So I could see Snell potentially eclipsing that. Nola, I mean, not Snell. Yeah, okay, Aaron Nola, 7-172. I could see him eclipsing that. Only 24 million AAV. I definitely think there's a chance he could eclipse this. Yes, yes. Okay, there's a chance he could eclipse this, but again, it's looking like if the Mariners were to sign Blake Snell, they would have to sign him to likely like at least $150 million contract, because remember he is a Scott Boras client, and it looks like with that signing they would be, if they were to commit, it looks like they would have to commit at least 150 million towards Blake Snell, and that makes it almost impossible for them with the current ownership budget constraints, ownership, um, you know, uh, instructed or ownership um, based, or I don't know, ownership has put in these budget constraints, and so that is what I believe is causing. That is what I believe would cause them to not be able to extend any of Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, or Cal Raleigh if they were to sign this Blake Snell contract of likely 150 million, if not more. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. That's it for today. I appreciate you guys watching. This is I just wanted to report on this. I know there were some people. Jared Carabas said he had heard from a source and he predicted Snell to the Mariners again. I don't see them at this price. I don't think this is a good price. I don't think the price point for Blake Snell is good either. But yeah, thank you guys all so much for watching, and have a good evening. Bye. Or good time of the day, whatever. Peace. Bye.